Just when you forget how volatile the footy world can be, a day like this jumps up on the 360 agenda. Adelaide sacks its coach. Brenton Sanderson shown the door after a ruthless review by the Crows. It steals some of the South Australian limelight from Port Adelaide, but it's the power that's thriving, and Kane Cornes will join us direct from the training track. And Sydney ramps up its preparations. Fresh from claiming bragging rights at the All Australian Awards, we'll chat with one of the honoured, Josh Kennedy. I like it when you approve. I'm Gerard Waitley, he's Mark Robinson. This Wednesday night, it's footy from all angles. Hello, Robbo.
Hello, mate. I didn't know we were having Josh Kennedy on.
I'd like to surprise you.
You've got to tell me. You've got to tell me. What a day.
Oh, what an amazing last few hours.
Well. Do you need a pat in the back? Did you break this story, Gerard? Did I see? I saw it on Twitter. You broke it? Tell everyone how you broke it. Tell everyone how you broke it.
Well, multiple sources within the club, from the players. The players were finding out as the coaching staff had been in meetings.
You spoke to a player?
To confirm. No, you can't ask me that question.
Last time I asked you that, you cracked a little.
All right, no room for niceties tonight. Straight on to the 360 agenda we go. After 3 years in charge, Adelaide, after a football review post-season, has decided to sack its coach, Brenton Sanderson. The Adelaide Football Club and senior coach Brenton Sanderson have agreed to part ways. This follows an extensive review of the club's entire football operations. This was what was released by the Crows a short time ago. Chairman Rob Chapman, Board of Directors Andrew Pays and Mark Rasciuto, Head of Football David Noble and Sanderson have been involved in the post-season analysis. Brenton is a quality person and accomplished coach, but recent weeks have unearthed the need for change. Both parties have realised they have different perspectives on where they are at as a football team. It continues, it's a tough decision, but one the club feels pushes us closer to realising our ambitions. We would like to thank Brenton for his contribution and wish him every success. It doesn't matter how you dress this up, the club is embarking on a nationwide search for a new senior coach. This is as ruthless as it gets.
This is the environment that we live in right now. They're not happy. I just can't believe that this decision was made without serious and important input from the senior players. And the senior players are their best players, Scotty Thompson, Patrick Dangerfield. They would have been approached because of this. I can't imagine, Gerard, if they went to the players and said, we think we got some issues with Brenton Sanderson. If the players were song and dance, no. So I think Sanderson would still be there, I think.
Yeah, the leadership group owns this decision.
Yeah, no doubt about that. So the players have told the club they don't want Brenton Sanderson to be coach anymore. Ruthless business. Now the players have to take ownership of that, Gerard. They'll press conference tomorrow. I don't know if they'll be there, but the players will speak up over time. It'd be great if Adelaide put up a Dangerfield.
Yeah, it's in their actions that follow next. It's unlikely that publicly in their rhetoric they'll claim ownership of it, but their actions from here, this is on them.
Yeah, of course it is.
As they've asked for change, change is coming.
A lot of it
and
is.
they better deliver against it.
Yeah, I agree with you. But most coaches who get sacked, I think it comes from the players. They don't perform, or they got issues. The fallout's extraordinary, and what's going to happen now? He had 2 years to run, so we're looking at roughly what, 500, 600, 700,000 a year. Looking at $1 million payout. So the complications, the issues at the club must have been quite significant if they're prepared to pay out $1 million and go and get another person. And as we sit here right now, Gerard, most people would assume, and I'm one of them, that Simon Goodwin, a very good friend of Mark Rasciuto, would be probably top of the list. But, and I know people hate it when we say this, journos, but my understanding, I've been told, I'm not going to tell you who by, but I've been told that they haven't got anyone at this stage. This is a Crows club decision, and they'll start looking for a replacement. So that it's not out Sanderson in Goodwin, and the complication there is it's understood that Goodwin's got a 5-year offer from Melbourne, or he's next in line for the Melbourne job. So if they do want Sanderson, if they do want Goodwin, they had to move now, because I'll have to speak to Goodwin in the next 24, 36 hours.
OK, I'll ask you more about that in a moment. Tom Wilson is covering the story for Fox Sports News from Crows headquarters. Tom, it's been a... well, give us a feel for how the afternoon unfolded.
Camera back on, pal. Yes, good evening, Jared. It's amazing. I mean, we've been following the Port Adelaide Football Club and their quest to make it through to another grand final. And this afternoon, the whispers started, the rumours started, and we all knew that Sanderson was under so much pressure. I mean, being in the Adelaide Football Club, the team for all the South Australians, the team that everyone expects to do so well here in Adelaide, and you've got that mob down the road who are outperforming them over the last 2 seasons, the pressure is certainly heightened. But to make a move like this, to make a move so swiftly, is unbelievable, and it's certainly shocked everyone in Adelaide, certainly shocked some of the players. I know that some of the players did know about this decision, and you touched on it there, that they are certainly culpable for this. Some didn't know. So it's certainly, I know that they're on their holidays, it certainly shocked them too. And he still had 2 years to go on that contract that you talked about, and they made a preliminary final in his first season. His record is 39-30, which isn't too bad. So obviously the reviews with coaches and players were scathing. The club wanted a new direction. They've got a new CEO, only installed 2 days ago. He said he needed some time to make some moves. Well, the broom has already been swept.
What will happen tomorrow in Adelaide, Tom?
Now, we've got a press conference with Brenton Sanderson. We've been promised that he will be there, and also the chairman, Rob Chapman. They're going to speak at 9 o'clock Adelaide time, so they will explain all their decisions. It'll be very interesting to hear from Brenton Sanderson. No doubt he'll certainly be shattered. And the next thing for the club, they've obviously, as you've touched on, they've got to find a new coach and just get these players on board, because there are rumours already flying around that some of these players weren't happy with how it went down and that they want out of the football club. So we know those players like Patrick Dangerfield. He's been linked with moves before. He's going to be the one that will be very interesting to watch in the next few days.
All right, Tom, thanks for your insights.
He's a key player, isn't he, Patrick Dangerfield?
No doubt.
Right now. He's their best player. There's talk of clubs offering him a lot of money to get out of Adelaide. I did an interview with him earlier in the year, Jared. He basically committed to Adelaide. He was in the Sanderson camp. He was more in the Rory Sloane camp, I'll be honest, but he was in the Sanderson camp, so it'll be interesting to see. I hear from Patrick Dangerfield. Now, what do you know? What you went with this story.
Yeah, I know.
What have you learned?
I know this is driven by the leadership group. I know they expressed a view that Sanderson didn't hold the line that they had put in place for the year.
What do you know what that line was?
In the way that he prepared the team, in the way that they reviewed games, in the way that he instructed them, and some relationships steadily broke down over the course of the year.
Communication is the first thing to go when there's trouble.
Yeah, and I'm not being critical of Sanderson here, because that's only one side of the story, but it's where the players always hold sway in these matters, and it was to such a degree, and we know that Mark Rasciuto is part of this review and the experience that he brings, that they felt with 2 years to run on a contract and a coach who has a winning record, a winning overall record, that they were prepared to move on him to reassure their leadership group, who, as you point out, are their key players. So I've got 2 questions. The first is, have we seen again that if you're not from Adelaide, if you are not a Crows person, there is no slack? Sanderson has been cut no slack here whatsoever.
Can I first of all, how I answer that? Lost Tippett, lost draft picks, lost Tex Walker, lost Davis, lost their spine practically. Brought on some young kids, very stiff. Preliminary final 2 years ago, Jared, we saw the makings of this team. On the surface, yes, you'd have to say very, very unlucky to get done. The Adelaide thing, here's more evidence of that. You need to talk to Rasciuto. I mean, Rasciuto's the key person. The CEO, he hasn't even got a cup of coffee yet. He can't talk about it. This wasn't the CEO's decision.
Yep.
This is Rasciuto and the Chapman's decision after the chairman, after talking to the leadership group. Mark Rasciuto will be fascinating listening tomorrow. There's not much more. Do you believe it's the Adelaide? Do you think it's if you're not from Adelaide?
He didn't get cut any slack. That much I know. And if you are a Crows family member, I think you get cut a little bit more slack than Brenton Sanderson just did.
Second question.
The spectre of Mark Thompson is being linked to everything at the moment. Everything. The Adelaide job, the Gold Coast board meeting tomorrow night. Where does the spectre of Mark Thompson sit?
Oh, the spectre of Mark Thompson still remains firmly over Windy Hill. Mark Thompson, unless he's offered $1.5 million or an offer he can't refuse, he won't even entertain he won't ever entertain Adelaide. My understanding, I hate saying that word, but I have to say it. My understanding is that Mark Thompson was blown away when he learnt of Brenton Sanderson's sacking this afternoon. Blown away. A lot of people at Essendon, my understanding again is they believe that Goodwin's got the job, but I don't think that is cut and dried as the information I've received since. This was a club decision. They're going after the next best person. So Bomber's been linked with
everything.
Gold Coast,
which is not surprising. It's not surprising.
But he's not linking. He's not doing any linking himself. You heard him, on Monday.
I know. And he said his phone hasn't rung.
He hasn't spoken to anyone. Mark Thompson will be at Essendon, so cross Mark Thompson off the list.
OK, the Gold Coast board meeting tomorrow night this is where the football world was being encouraged to look, is what will happen when Guy McKenna faces the Suns board. Will he continue to coach on next year, when he would absolutely be on trial for the long term of it? Do you have a read here?
No, this has snuck up on me. If this is pressure on Guy McKenna is real, it's escaped me. I'll be really, really honest. Now, I am focusing on the finals football at the moment. They extended his year. They lost Gary. They finished where they were. They're a young team. If they're going to move on Guy McKenna, once again, the only reason why they would move on Guy McKenna is if the players and Malcolm Blight have had a meeting and said, we don't think he's the man to go on. Now, I haven't heard that. Have you?
So I think they've conducted a similar review to what's happened at Adelaide, of which the results will be tabled tomorrow night.
Yeah. You know what's number one? Gary Ablett hurt his shoulder. We are a 4-year club. We have got young people who were trying to develop into leaders. We lost our greatest player and our greatest leader. We struggled from there. Number one. Then there's daylight, right? And then we're still trying to build a team. Do you know that people keep telling me, and I'll use Mark Thompson as an example again, he got there in 99 and they finally won one in 2007. You can't just build teams and say, right, we reckon you're going to be... Everyone says you're going to be playing in 4 years. It's not that easy, mate. It just isn't.
We've charted this journey with Guy McKenna every 8 weeks across 4 years.
I know. If I believe that Guy McKenna, and I knew that he was doing a bad job, I'd say he's got to go. Now, I hear other media people say, oh, he's in trouble, and I'm trying to look at why he's in trouble, and I can't quite see it. If I get told something, I'll relay it. But at this stage... You know, if the Gold Coast Suns, if they're right behind Guy McKenna, they should come out. They did a week and a half ago. It was reported that he's coaching next year.
Yes, so
into his 5th year.
Out the back of tomorrow night's board meeting,
they come up. They set out a statement saying, right, we've done a thorough review. We're not extending his contract. We're going to play it the next year, and we'll assess it there. That's fair, isn't it?
Yep. So that's where a lot of attention is being directed. And you know as well as I do, there have been rumblings around the Western Bulldogs for the last week or so, which are picking up a bit of momentum. And John Ralph's written a story for the Herald Sun tomorrow, which has already gone up online at Super Footy. Brendan McCartney, tough love fuels talk of discontent.
I read this piece. It's an outstanding piece by Ralphie. The taking in... It's very difficult sometimes people to write about rumours. Ralphie's obviously done some digging. I think it's a pretty fair assessment. Brendan McCartney was on 3AW in Melbourne tonight. I was driving here to the studio, and Brendan was asked about his robust discussions with senior players, and Will Minson was asked about. Another player which was written about by Ralphie was Matthew Boyd. It'd be terrific if we had Bob Murphy in tonight and we could really ask Bob about it. But Brendan McCartney did not deny. You know why? He's getting to a point in as well, Jared, because the questions are now being asked the Western Bulldogs. And quite rightly, the coach is allowed to look at his senior players and say to them in the post-season meetings, what happened to you this year, Will? And if Will cracks his shits and says, well, stand up. This is where the club's got to be tougher. I'm not in any corner here. I'm not. But if Brendan McCartney felt the need to go at his senior players, so be it. Take it on the chin. Be a man. Stand up for yourself. Because the disappointing performance from one person, I really like Will, but he went from All-Australian this year to maybe not in the 10 best ruckman this year. OK, and Brendan McCartney's got every right to sit down at the end of the year, look him in the eye. Now, he did say that they left the meeting together. There was rumours that Minson stormed out. Brendan absolutely said, no, that didn't the case. We walked out. But he used the word robust.
Yep.
And he didn't deny anything that John Ralph wrote this afternoon.
So the lesson of the night, as it stands, is underachieving and missing the finals, indeed, is getting sharper and sharper with each passing year. Is sometimes these things would have just drifted along happily through the exit interviews and so on, reset for next year, and we'll reconvene in 6 weeks' time. That doesn't happen anymore.
Tom Wilson used the word pressure on Sanderson. There's pressure on Guy McKenna, there's pressure on Brendan McCartney, there's pressure on Paul Roos, there's pressure everywhere.
Yep.
There's pressure on the four coaches going to the primary final this week. We're at a... What word did you use? Sharp and sharp.
It is getting sharper and sharper. That makes the desperation to improve your lists very keen indeed, and James Frawley is central to this. Each night we've clicked along here. Fremantle is putting its best foot forward, a $3 million 5-year offer, which has been hinted at being 6 years as well along the way. And Jared Waite, who we spoke about on Monday night, is of course he's on the radar. It's just, are they prepared to move?
What do you say? 600,000 for James Frawley. He's the luckiest bugger in the AFL right now. Yeah. And I mean, I don't know him. They all tell me he's a terrific bloke. I'm just looking at his footy. 600. Oh, he's there already. Had me hello.
600 in Perth, 500 at Geelong.
Oh,
well, that's where they are.
Yeah, they all know.
So he gets to make the choice.
Yeah,
now.
He does. He does.
And presumably he'll boil that down to locality and where he wants to play his football. I assume he'll make his assessments as to who he's going to think is going to be successful in the short term.
Did I put it on the radar last night? I can't remember. We were having such a good time at the All-Australian last night, Jared, but if Fremantle can get Jared Waite up one end and James Frawley up the other, suddenly, I was just not putting James down, I just wasn't putting him in sort of the group of, say, Luke McFarlane. Suddenly they're looking very, very strong again.
Oh, you add 2 to your spine, as you mentioned, the spine. There's only 5 in the spine and you've had 2.
I know, and Geelong are all in on Frawley. We heard Joel Selwood
Well, let's recap
this.
This was an excellent moment. Is both Fremantle and Geelong want James Frawley?
Yeah, absolutely. I like James the person, I like James the footballer, and I can see him fitting into our side and making us a more flexible side. And I hope he really does come, because I think that it'll be a really good fit.
Obviously, a quality player who could really strengthen up an already pretty quality defence that we've got.
So a lot waiting on James Frawley and a few waiting on Paddy Ryder as well after breaking bread with the Lions.
Any news on...
Greg Swan said he hoped to know next week.
Paddy Ryder hasn't told Brisbane that he wants to go there. We talked about that last night as well.
And
it was just so
they were
much
having
happening.
dinner while we were on.
They were?
Yeah.
How good was it last night? My 2 favourite players in the comp are Fife, he likes you more than he likes me, and Selwood. And I'm sitting there and he said, Selwood and Fife are coming on. I'm getting to go, how good is it?
We have to go back to Adelaide, which is the nerve centre of football tonight. The Power has just finished training. Kane Cornes is on his way off the track. And Kane, welcome again to AFL 360.
Thanks for having me, boys.
Now, strange things have happened in your town while you've been training?
They have. I was training and I got off the track and checked my Twitter as I do, and it had gone into meltdown. But back in year 6, 1994, I remember vividly my old man got sacked as Crows coach, and he came down to school and picked me up and told me, and I was in tears, and it was such a big story, and it's going to be the same again in Adelaide. It's a massive story when something like this happens.
Are you surprised that Brenton Sanderson has been sacked?
Yeah, I think everyone is. I think he was contracted for another 2 years, so whenever that happens, it's a surprise. So as I said, I'm not really up to speed with what's gone on, but it's a developing story and one that'll be big in Adelaide.
Hey, it's a bit rude of the Crows, isn't it? This is your week. You've earned the right through the season, and they're going to steal most of the paper tomorrow.
Well, they named their CEO the other day, and now they've sacked their coach, so they're doing their best to get us off the back page of the paper.
They can do as they like, Kane. Guess what? They're not playing in a primary final on Saturday.
That's right, Robbo, and that's what we're solely focused on. Boys train really well tonight, and well, to be honest, we're in really good form. So we go in really confident. Having said that, we immensely respect the opposition that we're coming up against, and we'll have to play as good as we've played all year if we want to play in the grand final.
Hope this doesn't sound like a Dorothy Dixon, mate, but you just said you're in good form. There's no doubt about that. When you train in the week leading up to the prelim, what is the feeling like on the track? Is it flat chat, or are you just tuning up? Is it joking around and enjoying the experience?
A bit of all of that. I think, in the warm-up, you're having a laugh and a joke around, and the mood's pretty relaxed, and boys are, loving the fact that we're still playing footy at this time of year. When the main drills start, where it really has to be sort of as close to match intensity as it can be, in the best preparation for what Hawthorn are going to bring on the weekend. So all of that, I think for the main two drills tonight, we were pretty flat out and having a crack.
When Kenny sits down with the team, when does he, and you specifically, when does he tell you if you're going to have a run with roll? Now, fill me in here. When you played Hawthorn over there, you beat Hawthorn. Jordan Lewis got off the chain. Actually, Jordan Lewis was extraordinary. We asked him last night, does he think he might get more attention, a la you? When do you find out that you have got a man? And then when do you... Well, how much time after that do you put into that opponent?
Probably, a couple of weeks out, I check the fixture for who we've got coming up. So you sort of got in the back of your mind 2 or 3 guys that you think you might go to. And then the week before the game, Kenny will probably, tell me 2 or 3 days before the game. I don't know at the moment, but I'm assuming he'll tell me tomorrow. He sort of tries to get around to all the boys and tell them where they're playing. Lewis was amazing last time we played them here, and I went to him in the last quarter. Mitchell didn't play that night, and historically I've always played on Sam Mitchell, so I would assume that it would be one of those 2 guys.
We've documented this journey with you across the past couple of years, Kane. How exciting is it right now to be returning to a preliminary final?
Yeah, I'm just really proud, Jared, of everyone at the footy club and the work that's been done to get us in a situation to be playing at this stage of the year. Like, no one would have seen that. I certainly thought I was never going to play finals footy again. So just really grateful that I'm still here, and grateful and proud of all the work that the players have done to get us in this position. Having said that, we feel like there's still a little bit to go, and we won't be satisfied until we get that done.
Sort of personal level, when the boys got home from the All-Australian last night, and when you get to the club today, what sort of reception do they get? Is there any chatter, or is it well done, we've got to get out on the track?
Yeah, 2 really humble guys, Robbo, so it's hard to get much out of them. They were sort of, certainly had a quiet word to them. And the Robbie Gray one is unbelievable. Like, his knee injury was a car accident, and we were worried that he was ever going to play footy again. So to do what he's been able to do, it's one of the most inspirational things that I've ever seen, and one of the best individual years, that I've ever played with. So just so proud of those guys. They were pretty quick to hose it down and on with the job this week, but I'm sure at the end of the year, and at the best and fairest, we can recognise those 2 guys.
Now, we try and help everyone who comes on the show, and if you do go to Jordan Lewis, Kane, he's a left footer, so he's going to swing onto his left foot, okay?
And he also likes to jump up at the ruck contest as well, so I'll watch that.
Third up. Don't let him jump up.
Good on you, Kane. Thanks again for joining us, and good luck for Saturday.
Always good. Thanks, boys.
Thanks, Kane.
Kane Cornes with us there. Veterans and favourites, and Adam Goods falls into that category as well. He's coming up for game number 350, one of the rare milestones of the game.
350 means a lot going into hopefully another grand final, that's for sure. You only remember those games, those milestone games when you win them. I lost the final against Hawthorn in my 300, so that game to me, it's not really that special, but to go down to Tassie and in my 304 and beat Hawthorn down there, that's a really significant moment. So these games, sometimes can be just a number, but when you get a good victory in such a big game like it is this weekend, I'm sure it'll mean a lot more after Friday night.
Only Adam Goods could do that. Amazing, absolutely amazing. This is one of the best goals you'll ever see.
For me, it's about setting that benchmark higher and higher each year. So by the time you actually get to 350 like I have, it's sort of a bit of a blur what's happened in the past. You're so focused in where you are right now and what you have to do this week that it all does become a bit of a blur, but there's no way I would have thought I would have played 300 games, let alone be a two-time premiership player. So it's one of those things that you enjoy the ride, you hold on and you try and do your best whenever you can.
Big fly, bird, Goods, could he roll it through? He can! Cometh the moment, cometh the champion!
You give me the premiership, will I retire? It's a sort of a really, really interesting question, but we'll play it out in the next couple of weeks. I've been lucky enough to play in some big finals, and this is another one this week, and playing on next year is definitely something that hasn't come into my headspace in the last 2 months, because I sat down with the club 2 months ago and said that it's on my shoulders. I can determine what happens at the end of the year, and I'm just going to stick with that. The enthusiasm's still there, the desire's still there to suit up and play at this level, and I still think I got a lot to offer at this level as well. So what happens in the next couple of weeks will play itself out, and like I keep saying, it's just a really exciting week for the football club and me personally.
Is a champion. He might be on the final lap, and I think we all need to be aware for that with Adam Goodes. Let's head to Sydney. One of their All-Australians from last night, Josh Kennedy, is with us. Josh, welcome to AFL 360.
Thanks very much, guys.
What's your sense on Adam Goodes, Josh? Could you have 8 quarters of footy left with him?
Oh, who knows? He's, since I got to the club, when was it, 5 years ago, his presence, and he's such a humble person and such a big part of this football club's history, and he always continues to amaze you. So I think he certainly can, but you just never know with him.
Josh, from everyone here at 360 and from the football world, you're one of the great stories of footy to be named All-Australian last night. In the middle, well done. You've just... Your story about getting sent out of Hawthorn and going to a new club and getting to the level that you are, and your team being at the level it is, it's just a wonderful football story.
Thanks very much. I think as I've just been watching you guys, and as Goodsy touched on, it's sort of, you don't really get much time to think back, but certainly at the end of the year, I'll be able to look back and reminisce on the season. But I do appreciate it, and it's been a good time.
Right, now for the niceties.
Hang on. I want to ask one more. Yeah. Have you met the standards you set for yourself, Josh, this year?
This year?
Yeah.
Far out. I think it's a pretty tough question. It's not something that I guess I've thought about at the moment, because you're just focused on the next week. It's something I'll probably sit down at the end of the year and assess the season and look at areas I can improve on. But I guess it's not something I've thought about too much.
Right, another one. We've got the team up on the screen here. You go through the team. There's a guy sitting at full forward. His name's Lance Franklin. Everyone says, what's Franklin done for Sydney? What has Franklin done for your game, Josh?
For me personally?
Yeah.
I guess he makes it a bit easier when you kick a little grubber inside 50. He's able to sort of make it look pretty good. But other than that, his presence around the football club and out on the field, it really lifts everyone around him and the crowd and everyone. He's just one of those sort of special people that you don't get very too often.
Righto, that is the end of the niceties. Let's talk about the seriousness of the game on Friday night. You've seen the Kangaroos play. They've got some weapons. They run, and they do more things than run. They've got an ability to kick goals. Do you have to adjust your game at all as a team, or do you go out there and say, no, we are going to play exactly how we've been playing, and we believe that is going to be better than what the best of the Kangaroos can bring?
I think so. I think we will focus on what we do really well, and we believe, I guess, that if we play this kind of footy that we know we're capable of, that we can beat anyone. So we'll go in with that confidence and hopefully get all the numbers on board and hopefully come away with the win.
You've only played once in 5 weeks, 3 weeks off with the injury, played the final, get the week off. Are you someone who likes to sort of rumble on and play every week? And are you feeling just a tad on the rusty side?
It's a tough question, Jude, based on the fact that since coming to Sydney I haven't missed a game. So I certainly would have loved to have played on the weekend, but I think, I'm ready to go, and I'm really looking forward to Friday night and feeling fresh and really eager to get into it.
So
it's a hard one to answer.
Yeah, so clearly you just test yourself early. There's the ball, you're into it. No
exactly
second
right.
guessing. The way you get out of rust, if there's any rust, is, right, there's the ball, I'm just going to go in as normal.
Yeah, exactly right. I feel fit and ready and confident, and I can't wait.
Well, we can't wait either. Josh, thanks for spending a few minutes with us.
No worries, guys. Thanks very much for having me.
Josh Kennedy, All-Australian, pivotal to the Swans' quest to make the grand final on Friday night against North Melbourne.
McClure.
Well, there's no shortage of material here, and I doubt they'll disappoint.
I'm worried about what Kingy and McClure are going to say.
Bluntest opinions in the business coming up with Mark McClure and David King. Plugged in by David King.
I'm so happy. I can't express my feeling. Maybe the smile does a little bit, but I'm just so happy to be playing with the boys this week.
It's good for footy that he got off.
Boomer's an enormously important player to us. Not only what he does on the field, but almost spiritually, at our club. So we were very concerned that he was going to miss. We were really hopeful the Tribunal would see it our way, and they have, so it's great.
The incident to me, I was running forward and I was getting the body check and I was protecting for the body check, and that's really what I felt.
I'm rapt that he's playing. I think I look at that, and Robbo, we go back to this all the time. I look at that and think that you shouldn't miss a game.
No.
You shouldn't miss one game, especially and I know it shouldn't matter, but it's a big final. I think for footy, I think it's a great result.
This isn't what the Tribunal was for. Players don't want to be going into games potentially worrying about incidental contact, which is going to get them weeks.
You can get tackled from 360 degrees. There's so many elements that you are not in control of, and I think accidents like that happen, and I think we need to just say, listen, he didn't mean it. Nothing should be done of it. He don't deserve to miss a game, let alone a prelim final.
If I see him out after we're playing a grand final, I will certainly buy him a beer.
The great escape. It's one of a jam-packed load of topics on the agenda. Mark McClure, welcome.
Jared, how you
David
going?
King, hello.
Jared, Robbo.
Straight in.
David.
Was it the right decision?
Right decision. Oh, look, Boomer's a thug, isn't he? He's a 3'6" thug. No, look, I'm rapt for him. I'm rapt that he's playing. I didn't think the incident was worthy of missing a final. I think that everyone in the football world and the general public thought the same thing, but geez, a fine line for Boomer. I mean,
He's shooting it, isn't he?
He's really putting the faith in the system that most people don't. And he's lucky. He's really lucky to get out of this one, and it would have been a savage blow for the Kangaroos if he wasn't up there this weekend.
It was a finals decision. That's what it was. It was a finals decision. They left out accidental and a couple other little things that they should have put in there as well. Accidental and common sense out of the rules. And so that'll change, and hopefully this goes on. If it's actually an accidental area, they should let it go.
Why do they have finals decisions for? Why is that, David and Mark?
We have no idea. It's the AFL's fault, not ours. That's the Tribunal's fault. We don't run that. That's them. That's their fault.
The bearing's massive, isn't it? If you miss a final, it's huge. It's huge to your club. The Kangaroos make a grand final. It's a significant change to where they're at right now. If he misses 2 or 3 home and away games, does it really change your club? They're pointy end decisions all round. I'm rapt that they've seen this the right way, and I'm staggered they put it up in the first place.
Okay, the Adelaide Crows, Brenton Sanderson, parting ways today. It's a brutal sacking after 3 years. How do you read it?
Oh, I'm shocked, I've got to say. And then I find out that they're sweeping the globe for the next man. It just strikes me as a decision you don't make if you're not sure what the next person coming in is. You invest in these coaches, you sign them up for long-term contracts, and you sack him 2 years to go on his contract, $1.2 million. I know they've become a one-team town, and that to me is the biggest microscope that's on them, is that they've become, in a lot of ways, irrelevant in Adelaide. Everyone talks about Port Adelaide. We get a massive coverage from them from a media perspective. They are the talk of the standards that they didn't have 2 years ago.
Well, they were a juggernaut from the moment they came in, weren't
Absolutely.
they? The Adelaide Crows.
Ken's been fantastic, and it was only 40 games ago that he was playing this weekend. I mean, how can that change so quickly? Surely it's not as dire as this.
Is it a player-led thing, Sellers?
No, I think it is, but I think Kenny's embarrassed him. He's embarrassed him with leadership and transparency through the whole of Adelaide. He's killed him with that. The players have probably let it, but we were just talking about that off air. What are the players going to do with the next one? Are they going to dislike him too? Are they going to show respect to him? I mean, I didn't like too many coaches I had, but I respected them. So did he lose respect from the players?
It's hard to answer that question sitting here on
I think he must have.
Players play a role, Kingy.
Did you like Pagan?
Oh, I didn't love with him, Sellers. Didn't love with him. There was a time there where I loved him. It lasted about 8 minutes. But we respected him. We loved what he did.
Correct.
We knew what he did worked. We knew that what he played was finals football.
Yeah.
Look, this decision hasn't been made on what they know is right. It's been made on what they know is wrong. And we can say what we like. They know more about it than we do.
Yep.
They know that this man's not the man for the job. That's all we can say. Now, there's a lot wrong at that club. They're not an attractive club at the moment. They're not. And I think they've come in and said, we've got to do something drastic. There's only so many things you can do that are drastic. And this is the most drastic of them all. So credit to them for being strong. Was it the right decision? I don't know.
He's the highest ranked win-loss ratio of any coach in Adelaide, ever. It's an amazing decision, really, when you think about it.
We'll have a better...
And it's a player thing, for sure.
We'll have a better handle about round 12 next year when we know who the new coach is and how the players are responding.
He wanted the right man, because it's a huge decision for your club to sack someone like this and then get it wrong.
And I'm certain it'll be an Adelaide man.
You're in Jared's corner about the...
Oh, absolutely. Every bloke who's ever been there from Victoria come back with their head between their... You know.
So how ruthless is the environment now? And this is the precursor to the Guy McKenna facing the Suns board tomorrow night, which we're being encouraged to think is a pointy end.
He'll have a sleepless night tonight. If they've made that sort of decision on a Sanderson, then good luck, Guy. It's as simple as that. And I think they'll look at it in totality. I'm not sure their reserves are going that well either. I think they've had a winless year. Bottom of the table with a percentage of 42 in the NEFL, getting beaten by Belconnen and these sort of teams. So
yeah, they've got a bad running game, Belconnen.
Well, you say what I mean, we can laugh about it, but you've got to walk into a board meeting tomorrow and say, without Gary, we did this. With Gary, we did that, but without Gary, we did this. Hang on, we're paying this bloke to win us games, the little fella, and he's done that. But we're paying you to set up the mechanics of what wins, regardless of personnel, at both levels. Now, how can he go in there and say, yeah, development's on the right track, if their reserves, who have still got all this high-end talent, still the same draft picks that come up and play here, are going back to the next level, are having a winless year?
We saw them, Jared, and they got talent to burn. They got plenty of it, but they're not tough enough. And that's really what his job is, to get them into the situation where they can play like Swallow does, young Swallow, and really sort of in and under players and get some work. But at this stage, I reckon he's... To me, I watch him, he's very flippant in the way he handles most people. Very flippant. These kids don't need that. They need a fatherly figure who loves them, wants them to get better and improve them.
Yeah, I agree with that from what I know, and I'll table that.
What if they go to Gary Ablett and they say, Gary, is he the man or not? We've just seen what's happening in Adelaide. I reckon Gary Ablett's the one who'll decide whether he coaches or not.
Oh,
simple as that.
It's a big burden to put on people.
Probably is.
It's true, though, isn't it? It's true. He is the senior core of that club.
So,
if Ablett says he's our man,
popularity contest within clubs?
That's we just learnt that that's the case. We learnt that that's the case. If Gary Ablett says, yeah, he's our man, you know what? I guarantee he's their man. If he says he's not, I guarantee he's gone.
Would you be surprised if Guy McKenna was sacked tomorrow night?
Oh, nothing surprises you in footy. It wouldn't be surprising. How can you say it was surprising?
I'll be honest, it would surprise me. It would.
Why? How?
Why?
I just think that there's a hard marker. All I know from listening to you and watching and talking to everyone in footy, this is a hard game to play, and it's a hard game to get players up to play consistent, tough football. And they're 4 years old.
He's had 4 years.
Oh, come on, 4 years.
5. He's actually had the
I just think
before, 5.
The game's hard. I do agree with her. Did they go for too much talent and not enough grunt? You know, if you look at the good teams now, they're not all talented players. You know, it's attitude and grunt. There's no doubt it helps, mate.
If you've got
even your premiership teams wasn't all on talent.
That's the argument. They have got the high-end talent,
but they've got to find the grunt.
They're not tough enough.
Why can't they develop this group to be that? Why can't they?
I think they're trying.
So if you hit up your leadership group as a coach, if you really put it on them, and they dirty up and vote you out, I mean, this is Survivor, isn't it? What's going on at the Western Bulldogs?
Well, the one thing I know about the Western Bulldogs, I guarantee you they've got the right man, Jared. Before we even start the discussion, now if some of the discussion's too intense or too harsh or the feedback's too critical, you know what? I guarantee Brendan McCartney's learning as much right now as he is having conversations with these guys as what he is in the 2 hours of a weekend. Well, gee, he didn't handle that well. I wonder how he responds. Gee, he needs to work on this, he needs to do that. He's hitting him between the eyes. And he's shaking a few trees and some are falling out, Jared. It's as simple as that. And I'm not saying it costs him their career at the Dogs, but he's learning right now more about the club than what he knew a week ago. And the senior players who are challenging him, look, I just hope that they can back this up. It's all well and good walking in, whinging and carrying on. It's about playing your role in the club. Players play, coaches coach. Simple as that.
Who's challenging him? Winston can't challenge him. Cooney couldn't challenge him. Boyd couldn't challenge him. None of them could. They've been in the system for a hell of a long time. Maybe they've been taught poorly.
There's one winner at the Dogs.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's the coach.
Yep.
But they're all learning. I bet you Brendan McCartney's happy that this has happened now. Because you're better off knowing about this when you can act on it. Sanderson's had the rug pulled from underneath him.
Yep.
2-year deal, he's probably thought he's got time. He's probably slept the last week thinking, this is what I'll do next year. This is how we'll spend the pre-season. I've got to build that relationship. I've got to mend this one. I've got to do this. And gone. Brendan McCartney's sitting back now saying, OK, we've thrashed all this out. There's no wallpapering over the cracks here. I'm aware of everything. Away we go.
It's taken us away from the footy that's to come, and I wouldn't let you go without looking towards it.
Is you in your element tonight,
Friday nights, can you make a case for North Melbourne?
Can you make a case? I think you can. This is the best they've looked for some time. I think that when you look at their midfield, they bat deep. Brad Scott's got some magnets to work with now. The move of Zeeble going to full forward's changed this forward line. It really has. Drew Petrie's getting a one-out contest right now. Brown's been sensational. He's been a cult figure that's actually challenged a few of these guys to work a little bit harder.
He's throwing the young fella Kane Turner. They've got a different forward line, mate, than they had 6 weeks ago.
Little Kanye Turner, he's doing it all down there, just a little tackling machine. But the senior core have to be praised for this. The form of Daniel Wells is being undersold. His comeback has been sensational.
The Swan side of things, do they simply have to win to justify everything that's happened?
I think they do. No, and I think they will. I think they're just a better side. Whether actually may play a part in this with their tall forwards, if they go with too many talls, they get caught out. But, you know, I just think that they're a much better side. Their midfield's strong and they're settled, and their defence is the shaky part for me. The 3 tall forwards for North could stretch them. I just think they're a little bit shaky down back, but hopefully they don't get enough work. Hopefully the midfield destroy them and they get it up forward, and the big boys, I mean, that's what they got them for, to win games like this, not for anything else.
Absolute failed season if they lose.
I agree with that.
What's momentum worth to Port Adelaide right now?
It's everything. Everything coming out of there is positive. I've got no doubt that they are going to run Hawthorn into the ground. And the one thing we see Hawthorn do is charge across the MCG. Laterally, their forwards get back. Bruce and Gunston hit the goal square at record speed. They'll be challenged because they've got the runners that can go with them. And then when they get the footy, Port, they can play. This is going to be a great battle, this.
Will the Hawks stand up, Sellers, and reach the grand final?
I think they will. They've been the best side in the competition most of the year. They've played against all the good sides the last 8 or 9 weeks. They've beaten most of them. I think they only got beaten by one in that period of time, and that might have been Freo over there. So for mine, I just think that they've had to travel. Travel is a killer. They've gone to Perth and back, and they've got to travel again this week, 2 weeks in a row.
It'll be huge.
It's a big week for them. And look, I love Port. They've been exciting. They've got into, we've got 2 new bit of blood that come into the finals. They could win, no worries, but I think Hawthorn are too good.
All right. Who knows what we'll have on the agenda come next Wednesday night. Enjoy your weekend of footy.
Thanks, boys.
Cheers. OK, after the break, we'll look into the All-Australian to our man, Jordan Lewis, who found his way into selection for the first time. Robbo went one-on-one with him over a beer after the jacket had been handed out.
impact. Monfries gives to Polak, who gets himself out of trouble. Gave it, got it back, gets into the clear and rams home another for good measure.
Can they get another one? Polak fends off one. Went to go to Wines, gets it back now. 30 out. This will be ice. Look at that. Brilliant play, Polak. Port Adelaide are irresistible.
Long ball towards half forward. Little interception there by Wingard. Loose ball to be won. Monfries. Polak, little fend off. Looking to get his way through the traffic. Lobe. Polak. This for a bit of cream on the cake for Port Adelaide.
That was a moment. Last night we had the chance to revel with Jordan Lewis after he was named for the first time in the All-Australian squad, and he's been part of the team right throughout the year on AFL 360. And Robbo, as you would expect, took him to the bar.
Hello, welcome to AFL 360 from all angles. My name's Matt Robinson. This is Jordan Lewis, All-Australian Jordan Lewis. You're a little bit calm before the event. How do you feel now wearing the new All-Australian blazer?
Yeah, I suppose it's a sense of satisfaction. It's probably not until you get up on stage and you're in the company of the guys that you're standing next to and understand what this honour means, and you go out there and shake Wayne Carey's hand and understand that he's a great of the game. So, it's humbling to be a part of that sort of crowd.
When you see Carey, I think Carey won 8 or 9, Nick Riewoldt 5. I mean, some players who get picked in the All-Australian. We had Jared Healy on the couch. I think he's another 6 or 7 time All-Australian. This is your first time. Do you feel like you've joined that company, or you're just a virgin All-Australian, you've broken your duck and you're in for the first time?
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. No, there's no way that I can say I'm in that company whatsoever. I think sometimes players have outstanding years. I've managed to play the game for 10 years as it stands now, and I've still learned a lot this year, but I think my game's obviously gone to another level. But there's no way I can stand here and say that I'm in that company.
I did an interview with you recently where you opened up about you're growing up as a player, but I think what's more important is how you spoke about Ruffy as your best mate at the club. He's your best man at your wedding when you're getting married. When are you getting married?
October 10.
You met him at a basketball camp when you were both 15. How does it feel, or how do you feel that the two of you have made All-Australian together on the same night?
Yeah, and I suppose you can chuck a third one in there, Buddy, as well. We got to the club at the same time, and although you don't get the external accolades that those guys probably have got in the past, I haven't felt like I'm any less important than those guys at the club. I understand, my place in the side, but I suppose when you come to a night like this and you get recognition outside of the Hawthorn Football Club, you probably understand a little bit more of what it means to become an All-Australian, and to probably share it in the same year that the guys that you got drafted with is something special.
It's business yet to be finished by you, and we all met you, us on 360, and I think a lot of the football fans have met you. You've maintained a very serious outlook. Does there come a time at the end of the year, Louis, where you become, I suppose, less guarded, less professional, less focused on the task at hand?
I don't think so. I think as an AFL footballer these days, it's 365 days of the year. It really is, and you can't afford to slip up. There's times when the season finishes and you don't have to think about football, and you get away and you probably go to a destination where, football is not the primary sport of where you're going, and you do get time to relax. I think it's important. I think a lot of players tend to relax during the week as well, because if you do spend every day thinking about football and every hour, you do drive yourself crazy. It's probably what you love doing, I suppose. But it's certainly, I think, when the time comes and when the season finishes, and as you heard Sel tonight, there is a sense of relaxation and a sense of relief that, you do get to break, for, mentally and physically. And unfortunately, fortunately, we've got another game to play this weekend.
Most importantly, if I don't mind having a beer here, I'm a bit tired, a bit dry in the throat. More importantly, how much do you think AFL 360 has had an impact on your football this year? I would say it's been quite massive.
Yeah, I'm not just saying this because you're here, but I think it's been quite large. The fear of coming in on Tuesday night and having to deal with your questions was definitely a driving force to playing well.
What about Jared's words?
Well, they're straight over my head, so I think we're lucky that Bob's there sometimes to actually butt in. But no, it's been a good experience. I think one, it's probably got my profile out there a little bit more, and it's probably made people understand that probably not a bogan from Warrnambool. You can come up and you can articulate well, and you can. And the main thing is I enjoy the game, and I enjoy trying to give a little bit of an insight into the game that is today. And it's hard in some aspects because you do need to be a little bit guarded and reserved in your opinion. But I felt I've grown as the years going on.
Righto, Jordy. Enjoy yourself. We won't see you again. Have fun this weekend, and everyone here at AFL 360 are really proud of you, and good luck over the next week and a half.
Beautiful. Thank you.
No worries, pal.
Kudos, Jordan Lewis. We're certainly claiming him. And kudos, Mark Robinson.
He said they cut it, did he? Said, you're my favourite.
Of course he did. Fight night tomorrow night. Barry Hall and Cameron Mooney with all the experience they bring to this end of the season. Plus, Michael Voss.
Voss is coming in. What a week.
There was a wonderful happening at the MCG this morning as Jim Steins took up permanent residence in the Avenue of Legends outside the cricket ground. He joined immortals like John Coleman and Norm Smith, Shane Warne and Neil Harvey.
Fantastic.
And it's a beautiful statue. Who would you rather be, from Gatorade to finish off here, Robbo?
Yes.
You're James Frawley. Are you James Frawley the cat or James Frawley the docker?
James Frawley the docker. Do you need to know reason?
No.
Good. Jared, we had my two favourites with us last night, yes. Nathan Fife or Joel Selwood.
Oh, no.
Who would you rather be?
I would.
You don't love them both.
I love them both. I love Joel just a little bit more. Oh, Captain, my Captain.
This has been a Fox Footy production.